Yo,
Yo.
how's it going?
Good.
So we're gonna restart the show next week?
I hope so. We did say that 2 weeks ago, and then we were like, we're not really prepared. And then we got COVID this week. And then
we got COVID.
Yeah. So, hopefully, yeah.
So, topic ideas for shows. United Nations, the global democracy.
Yeah.
What are we heading toward humanity being under one kind of global government? Or are we forever doomed to tribalism? That would be one very heavy topic. We were talking about that. What's another one?
Well, then also geopolitical game theory.
Geopolitical game theory?
Yeah. I feel like that would be an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
But it would cover a lot of things. It would. And, yeah. You get to be learning about a ton of different things at once, because you have to put it all in perspective.
That's true. What about all the different types of homeschooling philosophy?
Oh, yeah, that one's a fun one.
That would be great. That would be great.
Yeah.
That would also help us with the comedy routine.
Yeah.
Right?
And then also, like, I think a lot of people who aren't homeschooling, what to actually, like...
I'm a great cameraman.
Want to know more about, like, the homeschooler community. Like, for them, it's kind of just a big black box. They have no idea what's going on. I certainly kind of thought that when it came to, like, homeschooling. I just had no idea what was going on. So having some sort of discussion about, like, well, there's different types of homeschoolers, and then here's, like, kind of different communities and the dynamic and stuff. I think a lot of people who just, like, don't know anything about it would find that interesting. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. So, like, there's the unschooler, and then there's, well, like, what would you say is, like, the first and dominant homeschooler type?
Curriculum based, probably.
I think it would be curriculum but with, like, a faith-based community.
Yeah. And, yeah.
I think I'd call that faith-based curriculum.
Well, it's not necessarily that your faith is influencing everything in the curriculum. It just means that part of your curriculum is most likely has something to do with whatever that is. So,
could you break it out by saying, why do you homeschool? And then there would be a lot of overlap between why you homeschool and then the resulting philosophy. So people that are homeschooling for religious reasons is because, like, it's not just the curriculum, it's also, like, the experience that their kids are getting, or, you know, it's not pop culture driven in terms of their social lives, and a lot of what they do, kind of church and that community is woven into teachings at home too, right? So it's not, of course they're learning math, reading, writing, social studies, all that other stuff, but that's just an important part of it. I'd put, like, the Smith family, you know, I can use that last name and it's still anonymous, but the other one I'll say Cliff instead of his last name. You know, these are Corey's family, right? So that's one group. So I'd say faith-based, meaning that it covers the foundation.
Yeah.
You know?
And then there's, I guess there's kind of, like, unschooler project-based sort of homeschoolers.
Oh, wait. You get into project-based, but project-based is very esoteric.
But that's also I think that's that's also a subset, because sometimes, not necessarily. There's kind of, I like the almost unschooler sort of term. I think that is kind of not super well-defined gray area, but
I think for the sake of trying to parse out the major disciplines, one can just say unschooler to save time, because because then somebody can say almost unschooler, but you don't do almost unschooler as its own distinct philosophy. It's more like, because there's the unschooler philosophy.
Yeah, well, I do kind of think that, because I think that for some people, they think that unschooler is one of the core principles, and you can't tell your kids what to do, like, no matter what. So yeah, I don't know, maybe the almost unschooler is more like just project based, and that's kind of the category by itself. That
project based is such a tiny
fraction. That doesn't even necessarily
I'm not sure if that would be it could be a category. It's a category.
If it is a I don't know.
It's a category because it's a distinct approach.
Right.
Even if it's tiny.
Yeah.
Right? Just like the Jades are a distinct religion, even though there's very few of them, because fear of breathing in a gnat, because all life is sacred, and like watching before every step to make sure you don't step on an ant. It's very cumbersome. But it's a religion. And then, frankly, I think the world would probably be a better place if we had more Jades.
I think that there's also...
It could be the Janes. I could be pronouncing that one wrong. Anyway, back to homeschooling.
I think that there's also kind of a spectrum when it comes to curriculum-based homeschoolers. That's like, how many other things are you trying to do that are sort of in the life school realm, right? Because some homeschoolers that are curriculum-based might just do their curriculum-based stuff, and then they're kind of like, I don't know, just doing their own thing.
Road schooling.
Yeah, but then some of them are kind of like, they're going to museums, and they're kind of doing road trips, and they're learning about all these different things, and they're kind of doing projects on the side because you just have more free time. So it's kind of, there's a spectrum as to how much you actually use that free time to do kind of learning activities that aren't part of the curriculum. So that's also kind of, yeah.
I think another variety would be life schooler.
I don't know if anyone...
Life school.
I don't know.
Let me define it.
Sure.
Life school would be that you don't have lesson plans that are not driven by things that you would need to do just like around the house at home as part of life, day-to-day life. And so even though it's a distinct style, it's also one that probably doesn't lend itself super well to older kids, but can be really great for younger kids.
Right.
Because they're doing all these things at home and it's really obvious to them why they're doing it. Right? So you don't have this whole like, well, when am I going to need to know how to make food? I mean, come on, who does that? Like, it's really obvious,
Yeah.
Right? Or like doing your chores, helping with one of the homeschoolers that we know really well had their boys defrost their freezer because the freezer needed to be defrosted. And so they had a blow dryer, hair blow dryer, and they just defrosted it. That was part of their educational experience. That's really neat. And it came up not because somebody was like, well, on the curriculum, it's saying we should use our blow dryer to de-thaw the freezer.
Yeah.
Right? So it just comes up because of life. And that's life school.
And right? I don't know, because I think that there's some degree of that's accidentally incorporated in kind of all types of homeschooling to different degrees.
Keep talking while I do a panoramic.
Okay.
What's the next? What's another? What about nature schooling? That would be like Mowgli.
There are probably like little clans of 30 homeschoolers that are like
The survivalists.
the volcano homeschoolers.
The volcano.
We all do schooling in this volcano. I don't know.
No. Like the folks. This would be different than life schooling, like in an urban environment. Like think
Right.
of the folks that live out in the woods,
Right.
and their kids are learning how to fish and
yeah,
hunt
that's true.
and, you know,
I don't know how many of.
make their own soap, make candles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Grow their own food. Like we're talking about like almost the survivalist. These are like the nature schoolers. You know, they become very self-sufficient.
Right.
They're out there.
Probably. There's enough people out there. Although, given that we can come up with any number of just random things, probably somebody's doing it.
Well, good start.